What's the good version of the dead dove don't eat meme? Like, this is exactly what we should have expected the whole time. If James Gunn has proven one thing, it's that he can make a movie about a team full of anti-heroes who go and do a mission, and it's bloody and they curse and stuff. So, you know, they made that, but it's a cartoon and they're monsters because that's a comic, the Creature Commandos and like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that idea of like, what if the monsters were the superheroes? That is something that James Gunn was into, and he made a cartoon of it, and it's really good. I'm not surprised at all. So yeah, overall, solid. This is a great start to the new DCU. We've heard James Gunn talk about it. This is not a very strategic start. Like, this isn't the obvious first step in this universe, but this is just a story that he wrote, that he wanted to tell, and he did a good job, at least, you know, in these first 2 episodes. One of the things that really surprised me about Creature Commandos is how quickly it hits the ground running. Like, this show spends about 1 second doing like Task Force X setup, like, oh, kind of seen the Suicide Squad, maybe you've seen enough Peacemaker to understand the Waller's in trouble now, and you know all the stuff about Rick Flag, and then this is his dad. Everything else is just like, here's the guys, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and now we're gonna go do the mission. It does the setup very simply. I think that works well with the show, especially since we're gonna get more about these characters as time goes on, as evidenced by seeing what happened to the Bride in episode 2. So as far as a very surface level, like, this is what this guy is, this is what his powers are. I liked it. I think maybe the best part of the, it's so hard. Maybe the best part of the show is the animation. I think the animation's great. And we've gotten 2 really big fight sequences in this first 2 episodes. The first, and I guess spoilers for the first 2 episodes. The first one being Phosphorus versus Rick Flag Sr., and then the second one being the Bride versus Cersei. And I think they were really creative, really kinetic, really fun use of powers. Like, I like the Phosphorus v Flag fight was over something, and as the fight went on, Flag had to figure out ways to stop Phosphorus from burning him to death. And then the Bride for Cersei fight, I think, was just very exciting. Like, characters jumping into the sky, throwing themselves through walls. And the Bride versus the Incel Army fight was also fun. But I think the 2 superhero v, I guess Rick Flag Sr. is not a superhero, but the superhero v superhero fights, I think, lived up to what you would want from a universe like this. And if anything, that set a really good standard for, like, when Superman fights, you know, who knows, Metallo or something, it's going to be, like, they're going to be flying through walls, and it's going to be really exciting and imaginative. I think the characters are all pretty entertaining. Some are obviously a little bit annoying, but that's the point. But I think, like, the characters we're supposed to like are fun. I think Rick Flag Sr., I was not expecting to have really strong feelings about him, but I think he's a good, like, straight man here. I like the bit where he just doesn't want to have sex with the princess because he knows it's a bad idea, because it's a bad idea. I think it's very funny that that is the story for him. And also, Rick Flag Jr. had a similar start in the Suicide Squad movie that probably almost certainly doesn't count anymore. But, like, Rick Flag was also sleeping with someone who he shouldn't have been sleeping with, and that caused all the problems. But, you know, I like Frank Grillo. I think he was good in this. I think these episodes, it really helps that the 2 characters that seem to be the most interesting right off the bat are also the 2 that are paired up together, which are the Bride, played by Indira Varma, and then Nina Mazursky, played by Zoe Chow. I think their dynamic was very fun. I like that the Bride just doesn't give a shit, and Nina likes to play by rules, obviously. Like, that's a fun dynamic. I also like the way that character is written. I like that she is both quiet, but also, like, I think it's fun when characters like this don't use contractions. They speak a little bit differently than your normal Cuban speech, just because I think that makes pretty much every line something kind of fun. Yeah, I think I mostly enjoyed the way those 2 played off each other, that stuff. But also, obviously, the Bride had the most to do in terms of, like, character development in this first episode. So she has the origin, which is very similar to the Frankenstein, like the original Frankenstein book, at least as much as I can remember from having read it in, like, high school. But the idea that, like, Frankenstein demands a bride from Dr. Frank. Okay, listen, we're gonna start calling it Frankenstein is the monster, and it's Frankenstein's monster, and then the Bride is just the bride. But, like, you guys know what I mean. Frankenstein's monster demands a bride from Frankenstein. So, like, on one hand, you get it. Like, you feel pretty sympathetic to him because he is lonely and he feels weird. And this is not, like, his fault, the fact that he exists in this weird state. But on the other hand, I think it's very possessive of her. And I think that feels very James Gunn-y. That's the kind of themes that he loves to explore. And I love the montage at the end of episode 2 where she's running away from Frankenstein. Like, I think that's really fun character development. I like David Harbour enough. I think it's weird that she has, like, a full accent and he doesn't really have an accent. Like, it makes sense because he's been living in the world, presumably, although presumably so has she. But it feels like when they're doing the flashback scene, he kind of is supposed to have an accent. I don't know, it's fine. We haven't gotten a ton of him. But yeah, so I think Indira Varma, most interesting so far. That character, Bride of Frankenstein. See, Dr. Phosphorus, Alan Tudyk, very fun design. Character I'm not super familiar with. I know he's a Batman villain, so I guess he's kind of interesting in this group because all the rest of them do feel like they are characters that did not exist outside of the context of like the Creature Commandos, whereas Dr. Phosphorus, you could see him showing up in just a regular Batman movie. But I think him, Weasel, G.I. Robot, they were there for most of like snarky kind of back and forth. I think that was fun. I think the G.I. Robot bit is funny enough. That's a character that I'm kind of familiar with from One Star Squadron, I think. So he's cool in that. And he is also kind of this tragic figure. These characters are all characters that have kind of been abandoned or, didn't fit into the world. So, like, that's your classic James Gunn protagonist. We got Anya Chalotra as Cersei. You didn't really see too much of her. Cool design. I like that design a lot. I like the suggestion that the Forbidden Island of Themyscira seems to exist in this universe. So it is known that those people exist, Amazons and, witches and whatever. Cersei is demigods, but it is unclear whether Wonder Woman exists. I guess the way I read the way that it was described, if Wonder Woman existed in this universe, they would say, Themyscira, the island that Wonder Woman's from. So the fact that I don't say that makes me assume Wonder Woman doesn't exist in this universe, so that's interesting. Maria Bakalova as the princess, fun. I think a lot of the stuff with her and McFlug, while funny, it's a little weird. See, this is the thing with me in cartoons. I love animation. I think like when you do really creative stuff with it, like the fight scenes between Phosphorus, and even just the idea of a character like Dr. Phosphorus in this universe being constantly on fire and stuff, like there's stuff you can kind of only get away with in, animation. On the other hand, then it's a little weird to see like a sex scene in animation. I don't know. I'm sure some people love that, just not for me. I like that this is short. It's like 7 episodes. I guess 7 episodes times each one being about 20 minutes. 7 times 20. It's almost like 2 hours. It's basically a 2-hour-long movie or something in that area. And I think that's cool. It does seem like this is going to be pretty centralized, this conflict, at least considering we're only 2 episodes in out of 7, and we still haven't really had the whole team fight the bad guy yet. Like, I imagine it's mostly going to take place in this country, which is good because we don't have to explain the larger universe. We don't have to explain who or where Batman is or Superman or anything like that. It seems like we will get small windows into the universe in the future, but I like that this is its own thing. And I would really like to see more of these characters in live action. I know Frank Grillo is going to be in Superman and Peacemaker season 2, but I'd like to see a shot at like the David Harbour Frankenstein or the Indira Varma Bride of Frankenstein in live action, because that'd be cool. I think it's cool that we're going to have people playing both the live action and animated version of the same characters. Not a full negative. I do think some of the humor just doesn't always work for me, and this is true of everything James Gunn writes, and everything, most comedy is like, it's lots and lots of jokes, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I think the jokes that didn't work for me the most were the Bratislava jokes. If you don't remember, it's a bit in the Euro Trip movie where they go to a, Eastern European country that's very isolated. Their pop culture is dated and stuff. They do a lot of the same bits there, especially Where's the Beef? That I feel like is like exactly one of the things that they say in that bit Euro Trip. So, that wasn't as funny. But I do think there were some pretty good jokes. I think the timing, it feels like something that's live action as opposed to a comedy sometimes, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ton to say besides just I'm into it. I think it looks good. I think the animation quality is really excellent, and honestly, like, considering how good it is, I'd like to see more animated stuff. I know that that's not what they're doing with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, but that would be really cool if they animated that. But yeah, I think like if they have something, I think I've seen rumors that Authority might be animated. I think that would be great because those characters are pretty wild in a way similar to these guys, but also like the CGI necessary to make them work would be very, very, very expensive. And I think that especially in a world that exists now with like X-Men 97, Invincible, we're getting a lot of really good, high quality animated superhero material, which is great. Like, I think the animation quality here measures up right at that same level of Invincible. X-Men 97 might be a little bit slicker, but besides that, like, they're all really, really good. Yeah, I mean, I think if Lanterns wasn't an Earthbound thing, I think that would be a great candidate for something like this. And, James, that Zatanna show that we need to do one of these days because everybody loves Zatanna. And I've gotten a lot of responses from that one video I made. There were people like, yes, do Zatanna. She would be great in animation. Yeah, I'll probably do a video on this show every other week, maybe. Especially if something big happens, like if Superman shows up or something like that. I'm not expecting that. I know you have a couple of cameos from at least one other villain that is somewhat high profile, so that's pretty fun. But yeah, I think for like 40 minutes of actual television without, intros and outros and stuff, it's told a very fun start of a story. I love the look of the action. I think the humor being adult is fun. I always find the sex scenes a little awkward, but I think the action's terrific. And I'm excited for the action to get really bloody. Like, I liked that when Bride of Frankenstein was fighting the goons, like the, incel squad, she was just like breaking them in half. Like, I love that because these are superheroes. Like, that's what should happen when one of them kicks a guy, is he should just snap in half. So yeah, overall, very into Creature Commandos. I will do somewhat weekly updates on this. But that's not the only James Gunn DC show that's a spin-off of The Suicide Squad. We've also got Season 2 of Peacemaker coming out next year. And James Gunn has mentioned that there's a slight continuity problem in the finale of the first season of Peacemaker. Well, I've taken a video and I've fixed the problem. I've given James a couple of options, but mostly one big option for how to write that out of Peacemaker Season 2. And no, it's not just Peacemaker getting thrown through the multiverse or something. It's a little bit more, I would say, on brand than that. And the video about that will be on YouTube eventually, but if you want to watch it early, you can check out this video's sponsor, Nebula. So yeah, my How to Fix Peacemaker video, which is on the Nando V Movies channel, is currently on Nebula early. And Nando V Movies, Nando Cut, all those videos go up onto Nebula, along with videos by tons of other creators you already like. Some of those go up early, all of them are ad-free. There's also all kinds of exclusive Nebula content. Patrick Williams is working on a short film. Tom Nichols just dropped a documentary. It's really exciting. It's pretty crazy what people are able to come up with. We've got a lot of other projects that we're working on. They're very exciting. I'm sure you'll hear about them soon. And if you've never heard about it before, first of all, thank you for listening this far. Nebula is a subscription streaming service that I and a bunch of other YouTubers helped to create. We could put our videos out. It is a platform that is designed for and by video creators, but also for the audience. It is easy to find our stuff. You don't have to look through tons of ads and sift through lots and lots of content. Like, it's very easy to find the right stuff. We also curate. There's lists of different things. Like on the culture page, we've curated some videos about game design or videos about Venom, and I assume that's partially because of Venom, but also partially because everyone is so excited about Kraven, like I am. We got to talk about more Kraven stuff, and only so many people have made videos about Kraven. I think if you look through, I'm gonna guess, if you in Nebula search look up Kraven, you're gonna find one of my videos, maybe like one other video. Let's see. All right, so there are currently 2 videos about Kraven. There's other videos. When you search Kraven, you'll get results for Kraken and Raven and stuff like that. But I have one, there's Captain Midnight video. But obviously when Kraven comes out, and it's the biggest hit of the year, there's going to be so many more. So there'll obviously be a whole Kraven rail. So we'll make it very easy for you to find. And like always, a yearly subscription to Nebula is just $5 a month. That is $60 for the whole year. But if you use my code TheNandoCut at checkout, or go to go.nebula.tv/TheNandoCut, you can get a year of Nebula for $36. That's just $3 a month. It is an incredible deal. Go check it out now. I have a feeling you're going to love it.